Welcome to John's Tarot. This isn't fortune telling, it isn't prediction, and it isn't about escaping the ordinary. This is a space where we slow down long enough to notice structure in our lives, in our history, and in ourselves. The symbols don't tell us what to do, they give us a place to land for meeting. And here we explore the maps, tarot, the I Ching, the runes, not as authorities, but as mirrors. What emerges is already there. We're just learning to see it more clearly. If you're walking your own path of integration, if you're caring less than you used to, or if you're simply curious about how structure becomes alive, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Welcome to John's Tarot. Welcome to you, from wherever you may be. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I hope you all had a good week out there. This week, I'm going to do a little video. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, it might be worth checking out on johnstarot.net. The video, this is I finally got my studio set up. It was kind of a lot of work to get this thing set up. So I finally got it set up and I'm doing a video. And I don't know how many videos I'm going to do, but check it out and tell me how you like this. Oh. And I even have the sound effects set up. So I'm really happy about that. So this week I'm going to talk. Last week I went to the No Kings protest. And the No Kings protest was actually very interesting. And I brought something back. I wanted to go and participate, yes, but I brought something back other than just a standard participation. I brought back a pretty in-depth experience. I entered a field. So we're going to talk about systems and fields today. And I'm going to give you my firsthand experience on entering that. So today I have a little prepared presentation. I usually have a prepared presentation and I'll talk casually in between it so I don't have a lot of oohs and ohs and ums as I'm doing the production. So today I want to talk about something I experienced directly, not as an idea, not as a theory, but as something I stepped into. I attended a protest, the No Kings protest. And what struck me wasn't the message on the signs. It wasn't even the number of people. It was something else entirely. It was a feeling of stepping into a field. And what happened when I entered that field consciously? I think that's the big deal. I went and entered it consciously. I knew I was entering a field, and I wanted to enter as an observer and see what I could bring back. Before I go into the experience, however, I want to give a simple framework because I'm going to use two words, system and field. A system is just a group of interacting parts, people, behaviors, signals, reactions, all influencing each other. A hospital is a system, a family is a system, a crowd is a system. Now a field. A field is what you feel when you step into that system. It's not something mystical. It's the combination of emotion, attention, tension, movement, all interacting in real time. You don't see it directly, but you feel it, especially if you're paying attention. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. Now, there's something interesting about this protest. This wasn't just one location. There were thousands of gatherings happening at the same time. This creates what I would call a distributed synchronization. Many local fields all tuned to the same signal. Same message, same timing, same general intent. So even though I was standing on one street corner, I was part of something happening across the country. And that matters because it changes how the experience is felt. So when I arrived, here's a picture of what it looked like when I arrived. Nothing dramatic. People standing along the sidewalk, holding signs, cars passing, but almost immediately I could feel it. There was something already in motion. I wasn't creating it. I wasn't directing it. I was stepping into something that was already there. And this is important. The field does not begin when I arrived. I entered it midstream. Now, this is where it got interesting because I went in with intention. I said to myself, I'm going to be an observer. And I was, but I was also a participant. I was holding a sign. Where am I holding the sign? There we go. Holding a sign, standing with the group. So I was in both positions at the same time. And what I felt was intense. There was some type of emotion in the space, not just one kind, a mix: conviction, frustration, hope, tension. And at moments, it was strong enough it could bring tears to your eyes. That's what surprised me. Not because it was overwhelming, but because I could feel it so clearly. And that's what really got my attention. I could feel the tension. I could feel the emotion. And I thought that was all coming from inside of me, a release of tension, release of frustration. But I had felt it during the first No Kings demonstration. And I felt it during this one. I didn't feel it as intensely because I was a little bit more prepared. But it was really powerful. And what it comes from is the group. It comes from the stream of emotion in the crowd. It comes from exterior to me. But because I could feel it so clearly without being lost in it. Excuse me. As I stayed there, the observer became more active. I started to notice patterns. Different people carried different signals. Some were calm, some were energized, some were reactive. And then there were the drivers. Most passed by, some supportive, honking horns, but a few with very intense reactions. Middle fingers, anger, and you could feel it, like putting your hand over boiling water. Not directed at me personally, just heat, energy discharging. That was a key realization. I mean, you could really feel the hate and the anger coming out of counter protesters' vehicles. It wasn't just like, I don't approve. It was hate and anger. I wasn't the target. I was just the nearest surface. And then something happened that changed the whole experience. I noticed a car passing by. And inside of the car, I saw a reflection. Not just of me, but of everything. The protesters, the signs, the flags, and myself inside of it. So I took a picture. And in that moment, something clicked. I wasn't just observing the system. The system was reflecting me and my participation in it, all in one frame. And let me show you that clear picture of that. Participant, observer, system together. That's not something you think your way into. You see it. I stayed about an hour and then I left. And this is important because the field doesn't end when you leave. There's an echo. After I left, I could still feel it. Like residual energy, like your system was still processing what it had just been in. Not overwhelming, but present. And then gradually it dissipates and I came back to normal. My wife was like, Johnny, what's wrong with you? You're not with me all the time. And because I was still within the field, I still had field residue and it was wearing off me slowly. And, and I wasn't really in the moment. I was still partially in the field and I hadn't come back to a full awareness. That's the full cycle. Enter, feel, observe, reflect, exit, and integrate. What I took from this was not a political position. It was something deeper, an understanding that was constantly moving through systems, an understanding that we are constantly moving through systems, and most of the time we don't notice. But if you enter consciously, you can feel it, you can observe it, and sometimes you can even see yourself reflected in it. Not separate, not outside, but part of it, and aware at the same time. Sometimes you don't need to change the system to understand it. Sometimes you just need to step into the field and pay attention. I entered the field, felt it, observed it, saw myself reflected in it, and exited with awareness. Now let's move over to the tarot page because I have a tarot spread to go along with this concept, as I do every week. Let me move over to the tarot page. Okay. This tarot reading, my ability to read tarot, is a gift, an expression of divine love. And I've come to, and I'm here to share it with you in that same spirit. That's my usual little opening prayer. And this is the part of the podcast where I do a little tarot reading. And I do something a little different than tarot reading. I'm not fortune telling, but I'm examining what happened to me while I was inside that system. I'm examining what took place, not really what's going to happen in the future or things of that nature, not traditional fortune telling. I'm doing something more designed towards self-reflection, which is actually the tarot is better suited to. Where am I at in a system? What position do I hold in that system? And with every tarot reading, with every episode, I give you a free tarot reading. This one is a simple 5-card reading, and my first one is, what was the nature of the field I entered? The nature of the system I stepped into. What was already in motion? The underlying tone, was it calm, tense, fragmented, unified? What did I feel? What moved through me as I entered the field? Emotional activation, somatic signals. What was my nervous system registering? 3, the field observed. What did I clearly see or recognize? Patterns of behavior, system dynamics, reaction amplification, contrast. Where did the observer become active? Card 4, field reflected, the anchor card. What did the system show me about myself? My role in the field, feedback loops. This is where I appeared inside the experience. And 5, what did I carry out? What was released? Integration, insight, clarity. What was dissipated after leaving? And what remains with me now? And that's what I'm using the tarot for. So let's see. For a tarot, for systems integration reading, and we're talking about my No Kings protest experience. My ability to read tarot is a gift, an expression of divine love, and I'm here to share it with you in that same spirit. So, as I try to integrate what happened to me, the tarot integration reading, the 5 cards that I just read, give me an interpretation of what happened to me inside that system, that rally system that I did from the No Kings from last Saturday. So what was the nature of the system I stepped into? And what I'll do is I'll lay out 5 cards, and then I'll lay out the runes, and then I'll do the interpretation. What nature of the system I stepped into? And my first card, Page of Swords. Second card, Queen of Pentacles. And that is what moved through me as I entered. That's kind of interesting. What did I clearly see or recognize? Strength. That's also an interesting card, given the circumstances. What did the system show me about myself? The reflection. The 7 of Cups. And finally, what did I carry out? What was released? Which was actually very interesting. This 8 of Wands. Let me go ahead and get some runes, put some runes on this. Odin Freya, please help guide this reading. I hope you enjoy the way I do this. I hope the video comes out nice. I got the Mandelbot background. I hope you enjoy that. Odin Freya, please help guide the reading. What was the nature of the system I stepped into? Page of Swords, Queen of Pentacles, Strength, 7 of Cups, and the 8 of Wands. My first rune is Bayu. So what I stepped into, nature of the system I stepped into, Page of Swords. That usually has to do with, that's like the policeman. It's not exactly justice, but it is the observer. It's somebody who's bringing a conscious awareness into a situation, and he is observing. And sometimes when you're the observer, it's best to keep a low profile because you might be being observed as well. So, and the protest itself was being observed. I noticed last night our chief executive gave he gave a speech, and I wonder if any of his speech was influenced by the 10 million people that attended the rally last week. So that's the Page of Swords, and it's a valuable feu. It has value, an internal value, a value you carry with you. If you participated in that rally, that had value. It had personal value. It had political value. And it's a value you carry with you, and you created a little karma. And I want to hope it's a positive karma because I don't hear about any arrests or any violence during these protests. So that we created some good karma. We exercised, I think it's our First Amendment rights, and that has value. And then the second card, the Queen of Pentacles, what moved through me as I entered. And the rune is called Sulu. It looks like a letter Z. And then, so what passed through me as I entered? There were some powerful forces there, and it says Queen usually has to do with financial forces, but you can feel the power going through you as you entered into that field, as part of that system. As I entered into it, you could feel it, and the Queen of Pentacles usually has to tell you, trust the forces that have brought you this far. So as I entered it, I didn't feel any. As I moved through. What moved through me, I felt a positive force moving through me as I entered the field. And then the rune has to do with solo, has to do with light over darkness, success, victory. And as I did that, I brought a little light into the field of overwhelming darkness, which is kind of what we've been going through for the last period of time, since what, a year and a half now? And then the Strength card, what did I clearly see or recognize? And the rune is Gabo. I could clearly see and recognize the group. I could clearly see and recognize the different types of emotions that were being released during that rally. And some people were chanting all kinds of things, and which I will not repeat. Some of them were so bad, and some of the things that were reflected back to us were I won't repeat either. That's what I clearly saw, and I clearly saw the system dynamics, and within the synchronized, distributed synchronization of the group, there was strength. And there was you see a woman there holding the lion, and there was restraint of nobody acted out. There was no violence. Nobody got arrested, at least at the demonstration I was at. And that is like a gift, a spiritual gift. And the people who attended that and participated that, actually was a gift to the country. It was a gift to the population, and it was in line with the wishes of the deity, because these types of things usually has to do with partnership of the deity with the deity. And then the fourth card, what did the system show me about myself? The Seven of Cups. And that rune is called, that's an interesting rune for that one, Thuraz. I'll put it up there so you can see it. A lot of what did the system, there was so many different aspects of that experience. What I felt, what the crowd was doing, what the cars going by, what they were reflecting. Again, the distributed synchronization, that's all the different cups. That's what it was showing me. And I was just a part of that. And I stood at the doorway. This is always the rune of the threshold. I participated, and I could feel it, but I didn't fully enter it as far as being overwhelmed and losing my sense of self and losing my ability to make clear decisions and my ability to discern and observe. So that's what it cleared. What the system showed me about myself is that I can be the observer. I'm at work this week. I could see myself so much. I still work as an ICU nurse. Those of you who still who've been following me or haven't been following me, and I am the sentinel. And I was many times at work. I am the sentinel. The sentinel. I stand at the doorway between life and death, between decisions on path forward, and I was again at the doorway, the sentinel, standing there, the observer, and just showing, looking, and participating. But everybody has to make up their own mind independently. And what did I carry out? What was released? And that is the Eight of Wands. So what kind of pentacle? What kind of rune am I going to throw on that? And that is a rune called Ansus. What did I carry out? The feelings, the emotions of that came through me very quickly. It came through me very fast. That feeling like, like I want to cry, that I want intense emotion came through me very fast. And then on the way out, Wendy talking to me, telling me, Johnny, come on back, come back. It was like I was the Wizard of Oz or something. I was out there. Come back to Kansas. So that's what I felt as coming back out and reintegrating myself with the experience. And it all happened pretty quick. I only stayed for an hour, participated for an hour, and it was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. So I think I'm going to wrap it up for this week.
Goodbye, Professor Marvel, and thanks a lot.
Well, it was my pleasure. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. I hope the video was enlightening for you and that you enjoyed it. And then come on back next week and we'll see what I have for you then. I'll have to, I think I already have a podcast I'm going to do. I'm not sure if I'm going to do another video, but we'll see. As I thought this topic deserved a video because I had the pictures and it was such an interesting experience for me, entering the field, experiencing what was going on, having the system reflect my participation back to me live, and then the exiting, the echo effect I had. That was very interesting. If you would like a tarot reading on where you're at in a transition or a personal problem you're having, and you would like some clarity or you like a different viewpoint on it, send me an email and I'll be happy to do a reading for you. We'll work something out. There's a lot of different ways we can do it. We can do it by Zoom, or I can send it to you by email. So you let me know if you have an issue that you would like me to help you with. If you would like me to, I don't know, I would like to do some retreats, or you'd like me to appear as a speaker or something, let me know. I'd be happy to do that too. So until next week, be careful, be cool, be kind, and remember, find strength, have faith, and I will talk to you again next week. All right, bye. I always seem to change that end. It has to do with biggest part is have faith, and I'll talk to you all again next week. All right, bye-bye.